Hello, everybody. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. My name is Michael. I'm the events director for Books Are Magic, which is this very bookstore. You all came here for me, didn't you? This is actually our first in-store event since last March. Y'all are a great crowd.
That's why we picked Helen.
So before we get started, I just have some logistics for how tonight's going to go, some housekeeping notes. First off, I don't see anybody who's not doing this, but please keep your mask on for the remainder of this event. We're going to be doing hand-raised Q&A toward the end of the event, so you can start thinking of questions to ask. You won't have to type them up in Zoom, I promise. After the talk tonight, Helen will be signing and personalizing books at the desk in the back, so the desk right by where you came in. We also have additional copies of the books available to purchase with my colleague Isabel, so definitely check those out if you're interested. If you're joining us virtually on the YouTube live stream, we would love if you buy a copy of Helen's book online using the link in the live stream description. Okay, so we are very excited to host Helen Ellis for the celebration of her new book, Bring Your Baggage and Don't Pack Light. As I'm sure many of you are aware, Helen is the author of Southern Lady Code, American Housewife, and Eating the Cheshire Cat. And in this latest book of essays, fans of Helen's will pick up on her trademark endearing humor as they move through the passages of Bring Your Baggage, about close friendship and the resilience thereof, and also about the Long Island Medium and high-stakes poker, along with many other topics. If you're like us, you'll be glued to this book front to back, like you might be to a great conversation between a lifelong friend. It is always a treat to get to host Helen here at Books Are Magic. Here to speak with Helen is Emma Straub, who wrote the books. Who wrote the books All Adults Here, The Vacationers, Modern Lovers, Lower Lemons, Life and Pictures, and Other People We Married, and also owns this bookstore. Everyone, please give a really, really big in-person round of applause to Helen Ellis.
Helen, I love you.
You.
I'm so excited.
Very excited.
Here we are. Look at your whole face. Not to brag, but I can see Helen's whole face. Okay, so I think you're gonna read us something first, but before you do that, I just want to give you a couple of compliments. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So Helen's book was the very first book that I read this year. I keep a list of all the books that I read because I don't have a memory anymore. But your book was the first book that I read this year, and then so in preparation for this, I was like, oh, I need to reread it. I want to have it all fresh in my mind, and so I listened to the audiobook, which I cannot recommend highly enough. It is read by Helen Ellis, and it was such a pleasure to have your voice in my ears. It felt just like sitting across the table from you, which is exactly what reading this book feels like anyway. And I had also just listened to the audiobook of Nora Ephron's Heartburn. Oh. And so in my mind, it's like you and Nora and I are just like hanging out.
We are best friends.
We're best friends. And because it's you, we're like really good friends too. We're not just like flighty friends. Anyway, the book is delightful. You're the greatest. What are you gonna read to us? Tell us.
I'm going to read you a little edited version of a piece I like to call Happy Birthday, You're Still Fuckable. When my husband and I entertain long married couples at our apartment, one of the first things I say when they leave is, there is no way they're still having sex. Shh, my husband says, they're still in our hallway. My husband does not want other people to know that we talk about their sex lives, and by we, I mean me. He listens while I wonder aloud about who does what to whom, and how often, using what accoutrements. Accoutrements is sexy time talk for anything you'd hide in your top dresser drawer, or under a fake email account, or have a friend come over and get rid of before your kids or parents find it if you and your spouse both die in a car crash. So, for my husband's sake, I started keeping my mouth shut until I could no longer see our guests through the peephole before saying something like, "They are so weird. They either never have sex or they do it every night in front of Law and Order." Shh, my husband says, "They might hear you on the street." We live on the second floor and overlook a bus stop. Every day, all day, we hear an automated announcer lady say, "Caution, bus is turning. Caution, bus is turning." Before we moved our bedroom to the back of our apartment, we woke up every morning to a man crowing like a rooster, "Fuck you! Fuck you!" I didn't need to join the co-op board to get the building gossip, because I get it from eavesdropping on the doormen under our awning. So when couples leave our home and pause to talk about my attempt to please the vegetarians, sourdough cubes, and a fondue pot of molten lava hot cheese, we can hear them. Therefore, my husband assumes that when I talk about their sex lives, they can hear us. Nowadays, the procedure is you and your spouse leave our apartment, and my husband peels back a window shade to watch you walk or bus or taxi out of earshot. Then, like a producer holding a clipboard on the set of a live TV show, he counts down 5, 4, 3, holds up 2 fingers, holds up 1 finger, and then cues the talent. In our marriage, my talent is talking about you and your sex life, which I know nothing about. Unless I do. If you've told me about your sex life, I've told my husband. I've said, "Those two do it every Saturday." I've said, "Those two have costumes." I've said, "He has a nylon fetish. She has 30 full body stockings." I've said, "She listens to 200 erotic audiobooks a year by playing them at 3 times the normal speed. So they sound like a chipmunk orgy." I've said he bought her a vibrator in Vegas. But it's not really a vibrator. I mean, it vibrates, but it's for the outside, not the inside. There's a suction function, so you have to use lube or you'll burn your clit off. My husband does not appreciate details because he worries that if a friend has shared something this juicy with me, I have reciprocated. You know, tits for tat, like a pornography potluck. My husband worries that if he engages me, he'll encourage me. And he's right. Because the only reason to go to a potluck is to then come home and talk about how somebody else uses malt vinegar in their potato salad. Here are things I've told my friends about our sex life. If I'm in the mood, I say, "Put the cats away." If my husband wants to let me know he's in the mood, I've requested that he pull back the covers and shout, "Give it up for Steve Harvey!" I judge a friend by how much she tells me about her sex life. The more I know, the better friends we are. And the sooner she tells me, the closer we become. 20-something years ago, my best friend Patty called me the morning after her first date with the man she would eventually marry. She said, and I may be paraphrasing here, that his penis took up half her twin mattress. I asked, "Why are you whispering?" She said, "He's laying right beside me." My husband claims that he and his friends do not talk about sex. When he comes home from a night out with the boys, and by boys I mean middle-aged married men, I ask, "What did y'all talk about?" "Nothing." "Nothing? Nothing? Work? Nothing else?" "Nothing. We don't want to talk about what you think we want to talk about." My friends friends and I talk about our sex lives like some people talk about fantasy football. Because we're afraid that one day we'll be too old for the game. My recurring nightmare, I'm naked at a pep rally and nobody notices. In college, I worried I'd never have sex. After college, I worried I'd never get married. Married, I worry that one day, perhaps overnight, I'll wake up and poof, be as undesirable as I don't know what. And really, I don't know what. Every undesirable thing I can come up with, I can imagine some man climbing on top of. Scarecrow, street sofa, a model of the Titanic made out of Legos. Now all I want, once a year for the rest of my life, are sheet cakes that read, "Happy birthday, you're still fuckable." When a pipe burst in our bathroom, a plumber broke through the wall to fix it. The tiles had to be replaced, the walls re-wallpapered, and the shower glass reinstalled. At one point, there were rub-a-dub-dub 3 men in my tub, trying to convince me to install a safety bar. A what? I asked. Why? In case you slip and fall, said the glass guy. I'm 49, not 80. Outside of nursing homes, a safety bar may also be called a decorative grab bar. It's 4 feet long and runs diagonally down your shower wall. If you find yourself naked and afraid, your body collapsing in on itself faster than one of those nature videos of a fox decomposing, a safety bar is for you to grab onto and hang off of like a wet pair of nylons. You want professionals to drill it in to keep the tile nice. The tile guy said, "Are you planning to move?" "I don't think you're planning to move." "I don't think you'd upgrade from ceramic to marble if you were planning to move. You're gonna get old here. Let me put in a bar." "You'll have an accident." The contractor said, "Let him put in a bar. Let it level with your hand. Come on, step into the tub with all of us." "The bar will be beautiful, a nice metal. You'll barely notice it. You'll be happy to have it." "Yes," said the glass guy. "Soon you'll fall in the tub." "You should put in a bar." The contractor said, "We can add a matching one by the toilet." "No thanks," I said. "I'd rather slip and break my neck." Because, honestly, if friends saw a safety bar in my bathroom, what would they say? I will tell you what they'd say. They'd say that a safety bar is the sexual equivalent of wearing nothing but a smile and one of those medical alert necklaces. Push the button dangling between your dingle-dangle breasts and shrill to some stranger in a call center, "Help! I've fallen, and my husband can't get it up." It's the same reason I won't install a stripper pole. People will talk. A stripper pole says anus electrolysis, while a safety bar says salt and pepper pussy. One extreme or another, my sex life is mine to tell you about. Or you can let your imagination do the talking when you leave our apartment after one of our dinner parties. Trust me, I'll be eavesdropping, but I'm not giving you any hints. From a lunch, very tipsy lunch that I had with one Mr. Todd Dowdy. 2 years ago, I was 48, and I'm just like, "Oh, Todd, I just don't think what if I'm gonna lose my fuckability?" And he began to sign every professional work email. "Good job, this is what you have on your schedule, and by the way, you're still fuckable." Michael, why don't you do that? So that is, we have Todd to thank for that piece.
Good job, Todd. You're gonna make Michael feel really uncomfortable. Thank you, Helen. You're so funny. This is what I mean. Like, I mean, I know we're in like a bookstore, but you've already bought the book. Ha ha ha. But this is why you should additionally go to Libro FM and download the audiobook as well. Okay, so I want to talk first about material. So your essays are always about you, obviously, but they're also as you've just demonstrated, about your husband, about your friends, about your parent, about everyone in your orbit.
Your time will come.
I'm lucky. I'm ready. I'll say crazy things to you in emails. Like, you can have your own personal signature line for me too. So, and even though like there are boundaries, like even in that essay that you just wrote, there are clear boundaries, right? Like you're not divulging everything about yourself. But I wonder how much. Like, what is the clearance process like? And how much, just like, how much do you run things by people, at what stage, and how much do you care about what they say?
I care very much about what they say, and that's a very good question because, the way it works is I'll write a piece, and you just listen to this one. So there were many secrets revealed, but you don't know who has the nylon fetish, and you don't know who listens to audiobooks very quickly, but those people have read it and had the choice to either put their name in it or take their name out. I have one friend in Florida who's in this book, and she just appears as my friend in Florida. So the way it works is I write it, I give it to either my writing workshop of 25 years, Ms. Hannah Tinty and Anna Napolitano, who are very good at saying, "Are you sure that you want to say that?" And then I give it to my husband, and I have him read everything I write out loud. Because Lex is not my typical audience. My typical audience is ladies and gay gentlemen. And if he laughs, or if he loses interest, or if he cringes, because that's the real factor, is the then I'll just cut it. I'll cut it. So I give it to, if you're in the essay, I give it to you, and if there's anything you want to change, I'll change it. I sent it to my friend Patty, whose husband has a very large penis, and I said, "This is what you said 25 years ago?" And she said, "Well, I think what I said was his penis was as big as a baby's arm." But I like yours better, so we'll keep yours. So I said, all right. And he is not named, he's not named. But everything is usually very flattering. If you're in the piece, it's usually very flattering. It's always very flattering.
Yeah, well, and that is something that I noticed is that like if someone is mentioned by name, it's never to mock them or anything like that. It's always funny. And I mean what you just said reminds me of this. I think it's in Anne Lamott's Bird by Bird. Like classic writing advice, which is like if you want to write something terrible about, if you want to describe like a cisgendered man in a way that is really derogatory in whatever way, all you have to add is that they have a very small penis, and then they won't raise their hand and be like, "That's clearly me." So yeah, I think saying that this person has a giant penis, like I can't imagine him being like, "How dare you take that out?" Okay, so many of these essays, and many of my favorite parts of these essays, are about life on the other side of, let's say 40. I'm 41, so I'm just going to say,
"You're a baby."
Love it. Thank you, Helen.
Yes.
So, and I, there's just so much stuff in this book that I'm like, oh, God, like perimenopause and, I don't know, cancer and
Plastic surgery
and sex, all of this stuff. Like I just loved it. I loved it so much, and I want to know how it feels to write about these kinds of things now, and to write about yourself now as you get older, and like whether you feel like you're writing things because you want to see more of them on the page. Is that part of it?
It is part of it. Yeah, there's a piece called "Are You There, Menopause?"
Yeah.
It's me, Helen. And I wrote that because I grew up, as I'm sure you did, with "Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret." And for me, that book was banned where I grew up, and my mother went and got it, brought it to me in a brown paper sack. From I don't know where, I don't ask questions. But that book was such a friend to me. And it was sort of like part user's manual, part coming of age novel. And the same thing you mentioned, Nora Ephron. When I was 35, I Feel Bad About My Neck came out, and I listened to her audiobook. I listened to that, and I Remember Nothing almost once a year. Because again, I feel like it's a friend telling me, how to get an apartment at the Apthorpe, or don't crowd the mushrooms, or your neck is going to go at 43. And so I just wanted more of that. But I would never have written this at 41 or 45. I think the older you get, the easier it is to just be yourself, and every piece comes from love. Every piece comes from me wanting to brag about someone I love. So, I'm just in a better spot to do it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
No, it's what's so great about this book is that it's like, that's clear, right? That you're like, here it is, but that it's like it's presented with such warmth and such humor, and it's also like a public service announcement for everybody. Okay, so one of
Carry a fan. Hand me my proper fan.
Oh yes, we like props.
Yes.
So one of the things that connects all of the essays, I would say, is your curiosity about people.
Yes.
That you seem to. There we go.
I'm rising like a phoenix.
It's glamorous.
It once was Hannah's fan, but now it's my fan.
It's true.
Thanks, Hannah. So have you always made friends wherever you go?
No.
No?
No, I think I was much shyer when I was younger. I think like the women I write about in the first piece, Grown-Ass Ladies Gone Wild, those were sort of all the friends I had when I was in middle school or elementary school. And I take great pleasure in making friends in my 40s. I've made some of the best friends I have in my 40s. No, I wasn't always that way.
Because I just, I feel like it's, I don't know, so let's talk about friends. Because I feel like, reading this book, it seems to me that one of your superpowers is collecting not just individual friends, but like pockets of friends and groups of friends. So you've got your writer friends, you've got your trashy book club
Yes,
friends.
there's a lot of them here. I have my classic trashy book club here. I have Bridge Ladies represented here. I have a puzzle posse.
You've got so
I have my writing workshop.
You've got writing, you've got puzzle, you've got trashy book club, you've got
I have new poker recruits in the back.
right. So yeah, and your like childhood school friends who you have an adventure with in the first essay. So I mean, this isn't really a question. This is more like, I don't know. I'm just impressed. Like
You are the same way.
I mean,
You are the same.
I'm not organized. Like I.
You are not organized. I'm sitting in a bookstore. Look at the organization. Take that compliment.
Thank you, Helen. But it just seems to me like you're very, very good at like assembling. In my head, you're the mastermind of all of these groups. That may not be true, but in my head, you are the mastermind, and that.
I'll keep it going. I'll keep
Yeah.
it going.
Yeah.
I'll keep it going. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess how do you do that? Let's start with the Trashy Book Club.
All right.
Like, where did
Raise your hands, class.
Yeah. Okay, I actually have a lot of questions about the Trashy Book Club. So, let's start with the
Well, I'll
basics.
tell you how that started.
Yes, please.
Okay, so there was a Super Bowl party. And my friend Carolyn had a Super Bowl party, and there were a lot of women at the party who were not watching the game. And we all were readers. And our friend Karen said, we should, it was really Karen's idea. She says it was my idea, but I think it was Karen's idea. Because we were talking about all the books that we read, or were not allowed to read in my case, when we were teenagers. And we decided to start this trashy book club where the first book we read was Scruples, Lace, Dominic Dunn, Sidney Sheldon, all the classics. And so it just started with sort of why don't we do this? And then I just clung to it for 10 years. We're currently reading I'll Take Manhattan by Judith Krantz. It is delicious.
Okay, so here are my follow-up trash questions. Okay, so how does the book get chosen? Then
It's very complicated.
And then what? Okay, so I'm just going to give you all my questions at once. So how does a book get chosen? How much do you actually discuss the books? And is there a membership application for it?
It is a closed group.
Dang.
Okay. But the book is chosen through a nomination process. Some of us are a little more I don't know what the word is, but we'll make a list. A list goes out to everyone of usually it used to be a solid 8 pieces, because part of the pleasure was sort of reading about the book, going around in a circle and reading what it was, and maybe that person sort of sold it by the way they read the nomination. And we've been meeting by Zoom for the last year and a half, which is, I think, it's not the same. And I think it's harder to talk about the book, and harder to just do everything via Zoom. So I'm really looking forward to getting back together in person. We did get together to watch Lady Boss, the Jackie Collins documentary, which I advise everyone to watch. But there is a secret voting process where you vote for 2 books out of the 8 to 10, and then those are tallied by only Danny, only my friend Danny, and then we have 2, and then we have a vote down. Although lately we've been just using the top 2, and we'll book 2 months in advance. Yeah, it's very complicated.
That's intense, Helen.
Yeah.
That's more intense. Oh wait, so you do actually discuss the books?
Oh, we do actually discuss the books. Yeah, I have about 200 pages that I need to get down tonight before our meeting tomorrow. But it's enjoyable. Yeah, we do. We discuss it, and sometimes one of the members called us the Hateful Eight because sometimes we're not very nice about it.
Well, you can't be nice about everything. Okay, speaking of not being nice, I want to talk about poker.
Oh, that's not nice.
Well, I mean, I love your description of yourself as a poker player in this book, which is you're in a yellow cardigan or something, and you show up and everybody's like, what is going on? So how, in my mind, I don't know very much about poker. So in my mind, it's, it's stone face and you don't give anything away.
It looks just like this. It usually looks just like this.
Okay, but so does everyone else, because to me, part of the joy of you is your ebullience and your humor and all of that.
I am the opposite.
Yeah, so how does that work?
It's such a relief to me. I think it's something to do with being, raised as a Southern lady and just being a hostess. It's the closest thing I have to meditation because I sit at a table full of people that I do not know, usually all men. And if I'm asked, what do you do? I say housewife because that will just shut that conversation down. I do not speak unless I'm spoken to, and I just watch and enjoy and participate in the game. And I get to be sort of merciless and a killer in this quiet way, which I really have to struggle to do in my real life. But yeah, it's the opposite of every other than writing. It's the opposite of everything else I do. It's my quietest times. My husband can attest to that.
And so it must be so. I mean, as a fellow chatty person, I can imagine that feeling freeing.
It's very freeing.
Yeah.
It's very freeing. I love it, and I really love, casino play. I love, huge ballrooms of people posturing, men posturing. It's the only place in my life where I would feel comfortable, and I'm never comfortable walking into a room full of thousands of men. When would you ever want to be in a room full of thousands of men? Never. And it's really empowering, and I love it. I just love it, and I really miss it. I miss the real life play.
And then sometimes you also win money.
Sometimes I win money. That's fun.
Okay, I have like 1 million questions, and I could just keep going, but I just looked at my watch and I realized that I'm supposed to involve all of you too. This is literally the whole point of us being in person in the bookstore. If anyone has a question for Helen and her fan, in the last row, yes, hello.
Yeah.
So I have like a million questions. Where's the international dog collection? Who's your dermatologist? Because the double take chin looks phenomenal.
Okay.
But my question's actually a little bit more serious. So you talk about, because I devoured the audiobook in my commute in the past 2 days, you talk about the
Do I sound the same?
amazingly the same, like between Southern Lady Code and this. It's one voice, it's weird. You talk about being the B team friend.
Yeah.
And as a lady who's 10 years younger, looking for a friend who's 10 years older,
Yes.
the emotional component of that, like how, because you have so many friends, like I
You
find
can't
it
be
tough
everybody's
when
best friend.
Right, but I find it tough to be the B team friend. Like,
It
how
will
do you
come.
manage?
It is such a joy. So I will say that our, if you don't mind.
I don't know.
So the star of the piece, the backup plan, Michelle, who is the mother to baby Madeline, inspired that story, is here. And you know, everybody. Sometimes you know your friend's best friends. Like I know my friend Patty's best friend is her friend Erin from Child. I know my friend Carolyn's best friend is Karen. I know my friend Michelle's best friend is Tal, and you respect that. I respect that. I'm very happy to just be in the orbit. And so when there's a moment that you're sort of called upon, like with Michelle, she was having a baby, and Tal was in Florida for like 1 week, and I got the call to sort of go in and help. It was a thrill, but when her mother arrived, who was clearly the alpha and said, "We've got it from here, thank you very much," I said, "You're welcome." I got the hell out of there. But I saw plenty. I was happy to, taking notes the whole time. But it's good, you know, you just don't, I think as you get older, you don't have to be number one. And that's part of what I like about being parts of groups. You know, it's one of my favorite things is to be in a group and not be the one talking, you know, and be the one listening, you know. It's good to just be part of the group. You don't have to, you know, be the alpha. It's fun to be the beta. It's fun.
And where are the dolls?
The doll. So there's a piece in the book called The Last Garage Sale, and I will tell you that this week my parents are moving out of that house in Alabama, and my sister is there to collect them now and is taking them to Pasadena this week. So we actually 3 weeks ago had the last garage sale where everything was like, how much is that? $5. How much is that? $5. How much is that? You know what I'm going to say. $5. Please take our garbage. But there was a collection of my grandmother's dolls that my father had collected when he traveled in his 20s, and he just couldn't part with them. And he ended up parting with them, and they now live a very happy life in Birmingham at the Vestavia Library in the children's department, children's section. So they're displayed and out, and that makes me very happy. And thank you for asking that question. What happened to those dolls? They'll be a good life.
In that piece, I love the mystery box
Yes.
at the garage sale so much. I would totally buy a mystery box at a garage sale.
Yeah, so I'm writing a new piece for the new book. I have a new book and I'm working on it. And it's called What's in the Box? And you'll all have to wait to find out what's in the box. No one has guessed what's in the box.
Yes.
So I'm the Taco Casa girl.
Hey! I will sign your Taco Casa.
Thank you.
Anything. Taco Casa is the best, well, it's the only Mexican restaurant in Tuscaloosa. And I brought my husband there this first time, 20-something years ago. We go to Taco Casa, and the woman says something to him in her big southern accent, and Lex says to me, "What is she saying?" And it was, I believe the quote was, "You want my hot?" Uh-huh. And I said, "She's saying, do you want mild, hot, or extra hot?" This is also the same day where a friend of ours said, Lex says to me, "Your friend asked if I wanted to go have bear." And I said, he's saying beer. So yes, your question.
So I'm also a librarian.
Yay!
And so I get the banned book thing, especially growing up in Alabama and
Yes.
Tuscaloosa and so forth. Is there one that stands out still to this day that's like
That was
maybe
banned.
life-changing?
I think it's both Judy Blume's. So it was Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret? Because I burned through that book, and it really was. It told you secrets. Teenage softies. And what happens in the closet. But also Forever. That was banned. And that also taught you many things, that there are bras that clip on the front. And to put a towel down. And Ralph. We all remember Ralph. Yes, both Judy Blume, both those books. And that's part of what I love about the Classic Trashy Book Club is all these books were, not necessarily, those books were adults. They weren't necessarily banned, but they weren't in my house. They were in my grandmother's house. But I never was allowed to read them. So, yeah, I enjoy a banned book. Thank you for asking.
All right, maybe two more questions. Anyone's got one? Oh my God, that was pressure. Sorry. Any more questions? Yes.
Random.
Yes.
There's just a favorite where I was just hysterical laughing. Someone's making $625,000 because they're writing on someone's emails all the time, and do you think there's someone like
Yes,
that?
absolutely. Because I want that job. I do think, I write this piece called Call Me because everyone here
Paranoid.
who knows me will say something to me and I will type, just call me. Because I'm not going to put anything that will incriminate me in a text or an email because these things are monitored. I have attorney friends and I have been to court cases where, everything's like pulled off. I did jury duty, grand jury, and everything was like pictures of what people thought they had, encrypted on their phones. Like nothing is private. And so I really do think that there's someone who monitors work email and like looks for words like ass clown or embezzlement. And every time she finds one, she gets $5, and I think she makes like $658,000 a year.
Is that you?
I would love it to be me. That's a good side hustle. I think I like it. I like to be me.
Yes, last question.
Yes.
I just wanted to say you have an incredible ability to balance comedy and gravity, and I wanted to ask, how does that process go for you, getting those like seeming opposites like work together?
Thank you very much. I think it's just that Southern Gothic upbringing. I every time I'm with my family, it's one macabre story after the next, and we find very dark things funny. And I do think that it's one of the best times I've had have been at funerals. My grandfather's funeral was a laugh riot, but I do think that laughter really is like the best medicine. So I was raised with that medicine. I know, going through some of the hardest times, I have to joke to just get through. So I think it's just like my personality. But thank you very much.
It's a good personality. It's a good book. Everyone, please thank Helen Ellis. Down yonder. Michael, is there anything else that we need to tell everybody?
That's it, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, line up along this back wall.
Yeah.
To get your books signed. Yeah.
And thank you so much for coming. It feels so good.
I do feel like I'm in. Oh, and I have some stickers that I will put in your book, special, made by my craftiest friend Hannah. Some say enjoyable, and some say grown-ass lady. And you might have one or both.
Are all the stickers that big?
No. No, but you just asked me for a sticker if you want a sticker. Because I became a little sticker obsessed in the quarantine. We'll talk about it later.
Thank you, everybody.